was a good sound to have it with the overlay, sound effects, background noise, moving. It's not like we're live or anything. What is going on, everyone? And welcome into the weekly College Football After Dark show right here on the Voice of College Football main channel. Please remember to hit that like button. Consider subscribing if it's your first time here, as well as check out all the other channels, the Big 12, the SEC, and all the other team channels, as there's football content basically 365 days a year throughout the community. And we have our lovely, lovely panel of desperate fans here, like myself. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing great. How are you doing, Ben?
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson's a bomb. That's all I have to say.
Tonight's a little different, as I've told these guys. We don't really have an outline. We have the three main things we're going to kind of go over, especially with you in the chat. But as usual, Jackson to Mike to Sean. So I know basically just Jackson. Go ahead and promote yourself where people can find you.
You can check me out on Twitter. You can check me out on Instagram and Threads. And you can also check out my latest episode of the Jacksonian from Friday night with the host of Locked On Pac-12, Locked On Ducks, and the announcer for Southern Utah Athletics, Spencer McLaughlin, as we talk a lot about the Pac-12, the Oregon Donald Ducks, and so on and so forth. It was a fun show. I won't spoil too much for you. No worries.
Mike, what about you? As you're recovering still, how you feeling too, Mike, by the way?
Oh, like I say, every day is getting a little bit better. I probably won't be 100%, probably till like February, but yeah, just mending on the day. My main thing now is, at least now, with football catching up, but for a long time I was bored because I haven't worked since before Thanksgiving, so I'm getting a little restless, kind of like pacing around the house and bored as shit.
That's why you were fired up yesterday. Again, you don't want to admit it. I saw you in those chat rooms. You were
I think
you were talking mad shit to people.
Well, first of all, in those live streams, those Vietnamese live streams, people talk shit all the time, and there's a lot of spammers because there's no moderation there. So people they spam and they talk crap and they do all sorts of stuff that would get you banned here. But I figured you didn't like the fact that I was telling you that the reason a lot of these people didn't like you guys coming to the Big Ten is because you got an 8-4 season's coming when you come in the Big Ten.
Yeah, you were.
Michigan hasn't had any of those in recent memory, have they?
Not in recent memory. I mean, not this decade.
You had a 2-4 season 3 years ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
COVID
don't count. Yeah, that's what I said, Erica. There's a lot of there's other nationalities. There's some like Arab nations, but there's like a lot of Vietnamese people. There's one woman that she's does like this flower arranging, and she'll do like live streams. At the very end, it'll flick over to her like arranging flowers and stuff. But yeah, there's some Vietnamese people that they live stream a lot of like the major college football games, which is good because like I said, I have 3 32-inch monitors. So if there's like multiple games streaming, I can have 3 games on that I can watch at the same time, kind of like my little fortress of solitude here.
Okay, what's the pronunciation for this this soup?
Pho. It's pho. It's like PHA. Pho.
Okay.
It's spelled pho, but it's pho.
So if you were like the best at making it, you still call yourself the pho king? Like if you were the
should have seen that coming. That was so stupid. Should have seen that coming. So stupid.
Welcome to Puns After Dark.
Oh, I just had some the other night too. I want to go get some tomorrow. You don't find Mike anywhere. He doesn't exist except for talking trash on other people's streams.
Well,
How
if
you
you
doing,
would
Sean?
follow me,
I was already in the stream just because I was quiet until I saw you pop up, ruining my event. I don't even chat in those things. Those stream chats of the average college football person over there are they're some of the dumbest conversation. Like we're watching like Cal Texas Tech, and you guys are talking SEC, and I'm like, what does this have to do with the game? People are like ranting and raving about the SEC, and I'm like, are you watching the game? Like they're making no sense, and
it's Cal and Texas Tech. Sometimes the chat is the most fun part of it.
I get a headache from some of those chats. They just some of the people in there are really stupid. Really stupid.
Some of them, it's like most of them are that stupid.
Okay. I mean, to the point where people are like, is this player playing? I'm like, okay, you obviously don't even pay attention to any of the teams you're watching or college football in general.
No,
like, what are you guys doing? Very casual. All right, Mike, shut up for a second. Sean, where can people find you, and how are you doing?
You can find me on these shows whenever there's a panel show on Voice of College Football. Good bet I'll show up at some point. And doing pretty well. Unfortunately, my grandmother passed away a couple weeks ago, but I met with we had a bunch of family from all over the country gathered this week, and lots of people I haven't seen in years. Got to catch up with everyone. Had a really good time seeing them. So bad circumstances, but a really good time. So a good weekend. Good weekend overall. So.
That's always tough. But like you said, you kind of take the good with the bad. Like it's a bad situation, but it's a good time to be able to like kind of get together under those circumstances too.
Yeah, so it's like you make me think like maybe we should do this sometime and not have anyone die in order to do that.
I was about to say I could be like, it was so good to see you. See you next year, and they're like, wait, what? Like, wait, for who? Like,
sorry, I'm not laughing at that. I'm just laughing at Erica again. Oh, jeez.
I appreciate that, Eric. I do.
Mike's on drugs, so a legal prescribed medication. Relax, YouTube.
It's just if I had $1 for every time I saw a Christopher Putt was timed out by Erica Goldberg for 86,000 seconds. Oh
God. That popped up the other day. I came in streams like new timeout options. You can time them out for 30 seconds to 86,000. I was like, 86,000 seconds. Holy crap. I was like, what?
Go on, Ben.
There's not a whole lot to go on tonight. What did you guys think of yesterday's bowl games? Because obviously we were talking about beforehand. Mike, I saw you in those chats. I picked pretty well, and the Pac-12 screwed me as usual because UCLA decided to play football in the second half, and Cal forgot they were in a bowl game after like mid-second quarter. So
the first one surprised me the most. Ohio with like 9,000 guys in the transfer portal goes there and just beats the tar out of God. Who did they play? I can't. Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern. Right. They're coached by Clay Helton.
It was a little weird seeing. I'm used to watching Georgia Southern run the triple option. I've seen them a couple of times this year, but I just expect to see that 3-man backfield every time I watch them play. I'm like, wait, they're empty. What's going on here? But no, I mean, that was the running back for that game. I think had a total of like 4 carries for the entire season, and he had 5 touchdowns in that game. 4 or 5. So yeah, yeah. They don't need much of an excuse to party in Athens if you've ever been to Ohio U, but I'm sure the people that are there did.
Yeah, that game screwed me too. I did not see Georgia Southern coming out so flat. I thought they were going to show up. That game kind of screwed me too.
Yeah, bowl games are wonky. They don't make sense sometimes.
Especially when you have the short preparation time frame between some of these ones. But there were some good ones like Louisiana versus Jacksonville
Oh man,
State.
that was a great one.
That came down, to the OT. That was a good game. Howard and who was the other one? I know
FAMU.
people are like
Florida
Howard.
A&M.
FAMU.
Yeah,
Which was-
and
that was-
it was like a slugfest for like 3 quarters, and all of a sudden like shootout in the last like 5 minutes. That's that game.
Yeah, I escaped that one. That was my 43-pointer. I had FAMU.
Did you guys
I won that
catch
one
the?
somehow.
Did you guys catch the FCS semifinals at all yesterday?
No.
I'm
I
afraid
didn't.
not. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I saw South Dakota State defending their national championships laid a 59-0 burger on SUNY Albany on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard the
that's-
score, and then Montana beat North Dakota State.
North Dakota State. Yeah.
19 to 17 or 21-19 or something like
I
that.
know it was a close one.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
close. It was much tighter than 59-0. It was not a great day to be a Great Dane. So
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Yeah, I didn't watch the video, but yeah, I saw this come up yesterday. It's like unwatchable. I'm like, well, someone's not watching them because they're pretty good games. I don't know what people are talking about. They were actually pretty good games.
Well, I remember me and Mark having this conversation because I was like, there's too many bowl games, and he was kind of taking the point of the money. It's like even 2 6-6 teams are still gonna make money for the network. So that's the reason why, which I understand there is, but I mean it's
going to
getting
be
hard.
it's going to be a lot better programming than whatever else they're going to put on there. I mean, it's probably going to outdraw pickleball, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to watch pickleball on ESPN?
I like pickleball. I can watch pickleball.
I
can
know.
watch
No
most- I can
worries.
watch movies that they put
Sorry,
on.
man. I'm just teasing you. You
Well,
good.
and like I say in the back room, for other sports, there's probably not any Nebraska fans in here because the Nebraska fans love their women's volleyball, and their women's volleyball team just got their asses handed to them by Texas in the finals. So,
Well, let's see
slippery
then.
stairs.
That did happen.
As the,
It did.
so as the recap, yes, Ohio pretty much destroyed Georgia Southern. Florida A&M escapes Howard of all teams, 30-26. That was again one of those like, geez. Jacksonville State escapes. Appalachian State, Miami, Ohio. Talk about a barn burner, 13-9. Yeesh.
I think the ball was covered in butter in that game.
Yeah, New Mexico State just fell flat against Fresno. They screwed me.
And those were my 2 losses in Mark's bowls. I had New Mexico State and I had Miami of Ohio. They both dropped the ball on me.
Yeah, New Mexico State screwed me. And then UCLA decided to play football in the second half. And Cal forgot they were playing the game.
I had the good line for this one. New Mexico State relieved themselves taking a number 1 last time, but they took a number 2 on the field in this game.
Yeah, they couldn't do anything yesterday. They couldn't do anything. So we were talking about there's some little bit of news. I know, Sean, you have some news. I know Jackson definitely has news. Jackson always has news. If I need news, I'm just gonna be like, Jackson, run it. I'm gonna disappear for like 20 minutes, and he'll talk news. It's because it has been. I think we were talking about it before we went live. Is right now with the holidays, it's coming up so quickly. It's been a little quieter in the transfer side of things, like in the sense of news, than we would have expected after how the transfer portal as usual blew up. But let me hit this quick too. Thank you, Erica, our loyalist Iowa fan. Hey, y'all, please hit the like button. Thank you, Erica, for that good reminder. We have it scrolling, but I always love the reminder. I'm going to leave this one up for a while because Erica's always here, always giving the support. So we always appreciate all the super chats, especially from our Hawkeye Nation. So thank you very much, Erica, for that. And please do, everyone, hit that like button. Take Erica's advice. She says hit it gently. I say smash it. Break the damn thing. Who cares? Let's see what we got here news-wise. There we go. There we go. And I'm gonna pull yours back up here, Erica, in a second. I'm gonna remove this just to unhide Mike's pretty face. Photo, rather.
Well, who we have here is DeQuan Finn, the star quarterback from Toledo, transferring to Baylor. And this is what the source told 247 Sports and Matt Zenitz, I believe that's how his name is said. But this guy is the MAC Player of the Year, and he has accounted for 88 career touchdowns. Now, will this be enough to get Dave Aranda off the hot seat next year?
No.
What does everybody think?
I'll tell you, it's going to depend a lot on how DeQuan Finn transitions to the next level. He's an incredibly risky. He is risk prone. You know, he's a guy who just loves throwing his body out there. Doesn't mind taking some sacks, taking some hits. I don't know if necessary that will cost him as he jumps up in competition. He's he's a former. I know him well because he's a former Detroit Martin Luther King high school graduate. He was the quarterback that preceded Dante Moore at that same high school, and yeah, I mean, like, I think he has the talent. I think he does, but I mean, he's, you know, he can get it done, right? I think there's the range of outcomes for him as he jumps up are wide. It could be phenomenal. It could be a disaster. And it could be also anywhere in between.
I'd have to kind of agree with that. I mean, I think it depends on the system that they're going to try to actually use him as. Hold on, we've got echo.
Got some reverb here.
Is that mine?
No, we haven't. Yeah, I'm gonna hold on. Let me do this. Maybe. Is that gone? Nope. Nope. All right. Well, we'll just mute Sean when he's not talking. Because I was playing around the mic setting. You can try it too, Sean. Play with your mic setting, but it was sticking around. Yeah, but I'd agree with that. I think it depends on exactly what they want to do the system. And, you know, every time someone goes from one level to another level, you always wonder, are they going to transition, how they're going to perform? You've seen some do it, like, spectacularly, just flawless transitions, even from FCS to FBS. And then sometimes they just don't work. So it's going to be kind of an interesting situation. I mean,
he was definitely a good quarterback. In fact, I think Sean, wasn't he the quarterback? Didn't Ohio State play Toledo recently? I mean, and he looked pretty good against Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State.
He had a really good game that day. Now, like, Toledo's defense literally couldn't stop him if they were playing two-hand touch.
Yeah,
so they did get blown out, but he was making plays all over the field that day.
Yeah.
He was, I mean,
yeah. Well, I think Ohio State's got like 77 points that game. But I mean, I know that he didn't play defense.
28, something like.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like, you know, DeQuan was balling out pretty good against Ohio State, though. But, I mean, there's a lot more wrong with Baylor than just a quarterback. So no, this doesn't save Aranda.
Yeah, they have other problems, and they need to not just the offense. They have some other problems. Their defense has shown up okay at times, but it's been hit and miss. But I guess if they can at least consistently score points, potentially, at least that would help.
Yeah.
And I guess the other big news, because Ohio State is so greedy, they kicked out their starting quarterback for the season, and he has chosen a school, and it's not Nebraska. Sean, where did your former starting quarterback go? Let the people know.
He went to the State University of New York at Syracuse.
Those oranges. Those oranges.
And actually, no. Syracuse is a private university. It's not a SUNY.
I was like, it's not a
Excuse me.
state university. I was like, it's not a state university. I was like, it
No.
sounded good. Like you said it confidently though, because I was like,
No.
state university. I was like, I don't think it is it?
No. It's definitely not. But it's no. I mean, and it's alma mater of some all-time greats, including Marvin Harrison Sr., who has some connection to McCord. I think this is I don't know. I think this is a pretty good fit. I know a lot of people are going to be mocking it. You know, you go from Ohio State to Syracuse, whatever. But I mean, I think it'll be a good home for him. It'll be interesting to see how Fran Brown changes that program and what, but I mean, I think he can put some good tape on film in the ACC next year with it. And, I mean, like, I think he was just in a miserable situation at Ohio State. I thought he played pretty well this year, but I mean, like, the pressure at Ohio State is just absolutely insane. It's enormous. And I mean, replacing, 3 first-round picks. The standard there was unreasonable. And I think looking at his body language through there, you could see the weight of the world on his shoulders, time and again. And,
well, he definitely was not he wasn't the prototypical in the last decade type of quarterback that Ohio State expects. He was not you can call him mobile / slight dual threat. He was not really a dual threat. He was maybe mobile, but he was more pocket passer.
Oh, yeah, very much so. I mean, and it's, and I think he had tendencies that really diminished him. He locked on to certain receivers at certain times, and he has like 92 people on YouTube putting up screenshots every time he misses a read or something, like that. It was a bad situation. I think somehow Buckeye fans made a tough situation worse for him in a lot of ways this year. And I don't know. I wish him the best. I think he's got a lot of talent, and I think he can play in the NFL. So, I wish him nothing but the best. But I do actually. I mean, I think it was kind of time to move on, just given everything I had said before. I mean, I think there were too many issues, and I don't know a whole lot about what's going on with his dad, whether he's a helicopter parent or not. I mean, obviously you hear a lot of rumors. You don't know exactly what to believe, but I have no ill will towards Kyle McCord. I hope he does very, very well at Syracuse. I'll be pulling for him.
And the rumor is that the reason he didn't go to Nebraska is because, he doesn't want to compete with Dylan Raiola, and his dad's putting up a fuss.
But even from his perspective, you want to get into a place where you can be a little bit comfortable. If they're bringing in like the number 2 or 3 player in the country, the number 1 rated quarterback by most recruiting services, you're not afforded any luxury, any leeway.
Well, I mean but the thing is that McCord was a 5-star. I mean, that seems kind of embarrassing that a 5-star doesn't win a competition. That looks bad. The optics of that are bad.
Well, and this is the optics. So, we can compare the same thing in a sense. So, and this is not take off of the McCord talk because it's such a rarity. You see a guy literally first year starter from a high level school. Doesn't matter if it's Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, whatever. Wins 11 games and then transfers. That is not a grad transfer, just transfers. The echo is great, Sean. It is gone. At least as long as you're muted right now. I see you're muted on the back screen. Right now, no problems. So it's so rare that you see that type of thing. But look at like last year Oregon had Dante Moore committed to them. 5-star coming out, right? Bo Nix returns. He decommits because he's like, I don't want to compete. I want to play right now. I don't want to sit and learn. But a lot of that also goes to then UCLA was going to Big Ten, so I think they could offer more money maybe than Oregon could at that point. Now Oregon's going to like there's a bunch of factors in that, but I mean, that's it. Sometimes I'm like, go redshirt a year. You're not even going to lose a year. It's just a redshirt. You're going to sit and acclimate to a system. But I get from McCord, he's like, hey, this is a year that could be lost. And if I don't get it, this guy's going to start for 3 years, and then I'm going to have to transfer again because I'll be a backup to this guy. And so I kind of understand his situation is a little different because it's like if he doesn't play right now, he might be stuck behind someone else.
I don't know. I mean, if Dante's that good, I mean, if I'm Dante, I'm looking at Bo Nix at Auburn and saying, yeah, I think I can beat this guy out.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to beat out a 5th or 6th year guy. Who's
and the fact that he came back, because I think we did think he probably would leave last year, which he didn't. And so when he came back, we were like, thank God, because you don't know what you're going to get, especially with a true freshman. You don't know. And the fact he came back, he knew, okay, this guy's going to start. So he knew he'd be probably 3rd in the depth chart on a red shirt.
But I do think, especially at the quarterback position, most guys should be looking to a place where they're not expected to come in and hold the job down, where you've got a veteran and an accomplished guy who you can learn from. I think that's a better way to go than just scrapping, than just finding the most garbage quarterback program. Because honestly, if you're a true freshman and the quarterback situation at any university is bad enough that you can just walk in there and claim the starting job, there's probably a lot of problems with that team, with that university. Do you want to be subjected to that bad situation?
Because obviously there's probably other issues. Because like if you're an O lineman, a 4-star like O line guy, and you go and you redshirt for a year, sit behind the starter, you're in a great spot because they don't need you to start. If you have to get thrust in, especially as an O lineman or a quarterback, that's a tough spot to have to get into because obviously there's some problems if you're going to have to start as a true freshman. Either their quarterback situation was that bad or there's something else going wrong. It's kind of like if you're the first pick in the NFL draft, you're going to a crappy team.
Yeah,
you're going to a crappy team.
Question for Mike here. You guys won the Joe Moore Award the last 2 years. Had another very good online this year, right?
Not compared to the last 2 years, but pretty good.
Pretty good. Okay, but Michigan is a very strong offensive line program, right?
Yes.
When was the last time you had a true freshman start?
Oh, I'd have to do some research on that.
Are we going back to like Taylor Lewan days or something like that?
Yeah, probably.
And that's just because it's one of those generational talents kind of guys. I mean, it's like us with Penei Sewell. I think he started as a true freshman, but other than that, we don't start true freshmen. They might rotate him in the lineup, but he's not a starter.
Well,
they may not redshirt him, but they don't put him as starter. He just rotates in.
Well, I mean,
to get that experience.
Probably the linemen are probably the least likely to start as a true freshman of all the positions.
Yeah, because there's not only the incredible hurdle offensive line physically, those guys aren't ready to compete with the 22 and 23-year-old animals. But I mean, that's also a very cognitively, mentally, a very difficult task to do. And it's the same for quarterbacks too. It should be more rare for quarterbacks because there's only one. There's 5 online.
Well, yeah, but I could see a true freshman quarterback starting in most cases before a true freshman lineman, because usually a true freshman lineman, the strength and conditioning coach is wanting to put his fingerprints on that guy before he ever starts a game.
Yeah, and he's still learning system, techniques, and all that. There's a lot of stuff to go into that. A lot of stuff to go into linemen.
I mean, unless your first name is LeBron, chances are your body at 18 years old is not going to be ready to hold up to that kind of punishment.
Yeah. You'd say you're playing high school and you're playing guys like me, 5'8", 190-pound guys on the defensive line. And then when you get to college, there aren't guys like me lining up.
Well, I'm wondering what school's the best place for Dante Moore, because obviously UCLA is not that place for him.
He's probably an SEC guy, to be honest. My joke was that go to Ohio State, and I started making some disparaging remarks because he's kind of a Merck player, and Ohio State's kind of a Merck program right now. But he's not a Ryan Day quarterback because you talk about all those mobile quarterbacks. Ryan Day doesn't do mobile quarterbacks. You got to figure,
Well,
the
he was pretty successful with Justin Fields, but Justin Fields played a lot from the pocket when he was at Ohio State.
Yeah.
You know?
But
look at him in the NFL. He's not in the pocket a whole lot.
No, well, he didn't have the weapons though. If he was a pocket passer, he'd get eaten alive. There's just nothing.
Well, and I was gonna say that
he had better receivers at Ohio State than he does at
no kidding.
Right. Well, I was gonna say that I know that USC's going for Will Howard, but in case they don't get Will Howard, what if they got Dante Moore?
Well, they just took the.
They don't seem to be fighting for him right now. Dante Moore seems Michigan State and Miami of all things. Oregon doesn't even seem to be on the radar.
Michigan State just landed.
You're not gonna win.
No, yeah, I know that. But this is with the updated transfer portal. Apparently projections. Even though Dante Moore is visiting Oregon also, because now Dante Moore is willing to sit a year and learn. He realized, hey, I wasn't that good enough to start. That he thought he was.
Does that mean Michigan is off his short list now?
I don't know. Everyone has Michigan State and Miami, which okay. We're going to get into this. I don't understand the Miami thing with these QBs. We're going to talk about this, but because we brought that up, I had started this. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Will Howard is going to USC. That is pretty much done, as far as I'm aware. Will Howard is going to probably go to USC.
I heard Washington getting kicked around there for a while.
They have Will Rogers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Washington got Will Rogers, which I think makes perfect sense. An air raid guy, kind of like Penix.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood for the Washington Huskies.
Yeah, I mixed them up. They're both named Will.
That's not a Will. That's a Mr. Rogers reference. You need to go back in time a little bit more for the Will Rogers.
Yeah, Will Rogers to Washington makes perfect sense. Again, air raid guy throws the ball. That makes perfect sense.
Sean,
the Will Howard to USC is a little interesting.
Howard Jackson's going to fire a lob back at me. What was it?
I was going to say, Sean. I was going to say that when Will Rogers does well at Washington, they'll be calling him Mr. Rogers.
Oh gosh!
Oh God!
Okay, so
God, I can imagine the memes coming up for this.
Okay, just so I'm losing the brain fog here because all the Wills. Will Will Howard? That's Kansas State, right?
Yes, Will Howard was Kansas State.
I'm trying to make sure I'm not confusing all the Wills here.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Trust me. That's why I was looking at the list.
Will Howard at Kansas State. I mean, at USC. I mean, it seems like it kind of reminds me of the Jalen Hurts going to where I don't know if I necessarily see the fit between him and Lincoln Riley. I mean
he's kind of a mobile quarterback, but he throws the ball really well. But he was more that kind of Colin Klein Kansas State type of quarterback more than a USC quarterback. Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
It will be very interesting to see how Lincoln adapts and uses him, because I did not see Jalen Hurts having the year he had when he went to Oklahoma. Like, that completely caught me off guard. I never thought he was going to be an NFL quarterback. I thought this was a guy that's going to, have to make a position change and will last a couple years. And
I saw him as a quarterback, but if you told me he'd ever make a Super Bowl, no, I'd
be an MVP candidate. Able to set up to make hundreds of millions of dollars in his career. No,
Yeah,
no.
I'd laugh at that.
If anyone's telling you they thought that was Jalen Hurts' future in 2018, they're lying to you.
Oh, I'll be honest with you. In 2020, like when Jalen, I thought this when I saw that Jalen Hurts got drafted by the Eagles. I thought that deep down, the Eagles regretted giving Carson Wentz that big contract extension. I was like,
Oh yeah, they did.
yeah, they regret it. They're planning for another. They will make sure they got a backup option in case Carson Wentz gets hurt again.
Well, it also didn't hurt the fact that Nick Foles went in there for a little bit and basically looked like Joe Montana 2.0.
He went what 3 or 4-0 in the Super Bowl win. I mean,
I was thinking more like, Nick Foles is a modern day Jim Plunkett, because like Jim Plunkett, when he won both the Super Bowls for the Raiders, he was the backup quarterback that took over the town for a little bit.
No one in this chat on a team basis, except for maybe a bowl game, which I'd have to go back and look at the years. We had to play Nick Foles every year in college. I hated.
Oh yeah, 2009 on.
I hated
ABC.
playing Nick Foles because that guy could. He was a tremendous quarterback.
I tell you, if you guys know, during one season, Michigan State's quarterback room consisted of Brian Hoyer, Kirk Cousins, and Nick Foles.
I remember that. I remember
Yeesh.
seeing that as a little boy.
Yeesh.
Michigan State puts quarterbacks in the league. I mean, they usually don't shine, but they do put quarterbacks in the league.
Kirk Cousins has had a very good career, but
It's been substantial, at least. It's been quite substantial. He's made his paydays. Let's put it that way.
He's been overpaid, though.
But unfortunately for
Alan
Kirk
Christian, stand up.
Cousins, he can't get the job done in the big game. That's unfortunate, though.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to go into NFL, but this was going to be his best statistical year too, wasn't it? This was like lining up to be his best statistical year.
He's had a lot. He's had a lot of pretty good statistical years.
But he never wins the big one. He never can win the big ones for some reason, or the team can't.
And if he wins a big one, it's usually by luck. That's the thing, though.
The
Minneapolis
Hail Mary against the
Miracle.
Saints.
Come on.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on.
No, the Minneapolis Miracle wasn't led by Kirk Cousins. That was before they.
That was before. That was the season. Yeah,
that had nothing to do with the.
You're thinking of the 2020 game against the Saints in the wild card playoffs.
Yeah, when Stephon Diggs made that ridiculous cash and run.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. I was watching that in Key West. Is that one of the bars there?
Yeah, that was the overtime game against the Saints.
We have, besides the news that we were talking about, I definitely want to pull it back with college because a lot of people like here, especially me, I don't even pay attention to the NFL anymore. We did have the news. Yes, Aiden Childs, the quarterback from Oregon State, has left also, and he is looking at Michigan State heavily. DJU.
I thought it was already announced that Aiden Childs was going to Michigan.
He is. He is committed to Michigan State. And then DJU had just visited this weekend to FSU, which again, I said earlier, just, I don't know, that just seems kind of like a weird fit for some reason. It just seems like a weird fit. I don't know why.
I mean, they don't. So Florida State is begging to get into crying that they should have gotten into the playoffs, yet they don't even trust the quarterback that they have now to play.
Yeah, because you weren't going to get DJU. I would assume this would be his last year.
Yeah,
I would assume this would be his last year eligibility, except for maybe a year, maybe a grad transfer year. If he's not using that already, I'm not even sure.
I think he still has.
No. This would be his last year coming up for sure.
Yeah,
I would think so. Unless he has like a grad year or something like that somehow somewhere in the. But he's going to go somewhere where he's going to start.
I think he might have like technically have a redshirt year. So if he got hurt in the first like 3 or 4 games next year, then he could come back.
Yeah. He has 1 more year of eligibility left.
We definitely,
Okay. For sure. Yeah. Even Jason here is like, yeah, no, it has to. I was like, I think it has to be next year. Would be his last year. So he visited FSU. Nothing confirmed there, but he did visit FSU, and I saw some info that he said he, Hummus is saying no, he has one more year if he wants it. That's why I wasn't sure if this was his last or not. So we'll go on that. We'll go on the tenant. Maybe he has up to 2 years left, but he's not going somewhere to sit on the bench. Wherever he goes, he wants to play. But he said he liked FSU's facilities. That's what I saw. So that means he went in and did the visit and walkthrough and everything, and that'll be interesting. Obviously, Notre Dame got their guy in Riley Leonard, which is I think an interesting but good pickup for Notre Dame.
Oh man,
You know,
I'm so excited. I'm so excited about the opening week next year between Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Who would have thought? Who would have put Mike Elko versus Riley Leonard in week 1 on their bingo card? Did anybody have that? I know I didn't. I mean, that's gonna be fun, right there.
It will be interesting. Notre Dame's got one of Michigan's favored son, Lloyd Carr's grandson, going there as a 5-star true freshman next year.
Yeah.
CJ Carr will be there. So, Leonard probably makes a lot of sense as a 1-year rental. I don't think Carr is going to push for that job at any point unless Leonard's just absolutely terrible. So
I don't see Carr taking.
I think if Riley Leonard's having a bad year next year, it's going to be because of OC Gerard Parker.
I don't see him being there next year. But we'll see.
And someone just said Cam Ward also visit FSU. Well, again, everything I'm seeing which is this one's the one that blows my mind. Like Oregon got Dylan Gabriel, great. That seems like a good fit. Got it. Cam Ward apparently is full on going to probably commit to Miami, which is a huge gift for Miami. Makes absolutely zero sense to me if you're Cam Ward. Absolutely zero sense.
I don't know.
I as an Oregon fan, if you as a quarterback want to ruin your stock and take a shit, be a quarterback for Mario Cristobal.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, look at like De'Aaron King, Tyler Van Dyke.
I was gonna say he ruined TVD.
I mean, it's just like I don't know. I mean, and look at just the state of the Miami program for the last several years. It's a lot of hype, a lot of flash, and not a lot of deliverance. Not a lot of booty.
And it's not. Everyone says, well, okay, 1 year they had Gaddis, that was a bad OC hire. The next year, okay, it's got better. Okay, it's good. Like you don't.
It's always something.
How much control Mario has of the offense to do things a certain way. So you don't get to have say as an OC. You just don't. Mario has control of it. Even if he's like, I'm going to let the OC do his own thing. No. That's not how Mario operates. Sorry. Again, we had Justin Herbert. People were like, they overdrafted him. When you saw him come out the first couple of years in this league, people were like, well, maybe he should have gone fucking number 1 overall.
Yeah.
This feels like we got some Jimbo Fisher vibes in Miami.
Well, probably not. He's probably not going to be giving them a national championship before. There's just been so many things like organizationally wrong with Miami, even preceding Cristobal. It's not a place I would advise kids with a real future to go right now. I mean,
not the way he limits the offense. Mr. Don't take a knee because I want to get my running back 100 yards. Georgia Tech.
And the fact, I get that they beat Clemson, but then a week later they almost lose to Virginia. That's bad. You can't be almost losing to Virginia. That is a no-no, especially if you're at Miami.
But I mean, it feels like the hype for Miami is there basically every year. And they give you enough to think that they're a program on the ascent, and then they never deliver. Ever. and they take down a lot of like kids with promising futures with them. It's just this is not a place I would advise kids with real futures in the sport to go right now.
Well, that's why it doesn't make any sense. Cam Ward could pretty much go almost anywhere. Anyone's going to give him an opportunity because he's talented.
Yeah,
I mean, he was the FBS. He was the FCS, touchdown pass leader in his 1 year. Then he moved up to Washington State with his OC, or whatever. And he's done, even though the team hasn't done great this year, his stats every year are still decent. So he has an opportunity to go anywhere. But I'm like, Miami? That just doesn't make sense to me on his level.
Well, I mean, like maybe like Miami will improve in some way, but they'll probably improve to like an 8-9 win season. But they're not going 11-10 wins because the thing with Miami is they're a Jekyll and Hyde team in the ACC. They always win that one game they shouldn't, and they lose that one game they shouldn't. I mean, that's the
Mario Cristobal effect. That is the Mario Cristobal effect. Play
you
up
wouldn't
and
know
down
that.
to your competition. It always does this. Always does.
But
go beat Ohio State on the road, but then have to win by three against Cal at home, and then lose to Stanford on the road. Which that game was cursed to begin with from the day before, but still, it's like they play up and down to the competition for some reason, whatever it is. That's the Mario Cristobal thing.
But
yeah, because I remember he did
at Oregon than he said on Miami. He had a lot more success at Oregon, consistent even the short time he was there than he has had at Miami.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it has been embarrassing at moments in Miami, and not the record so much. It's just the dysfunction sometimes on game day and like the embarrassing moments. There's been just several of them, like leading the nation in penalties. The Georgia Tech fiasco. I mean, this has been this just shouldn't happen in college football. Like these are just bad indictments.
Oh yeah,
Here's a program.
I think it's to me personally. If you look at like Oregon when he took over, it was a bad team. Taggart kind of brought it up with him 1 year, then he took over and built it back up.
Mm-hmm.
But it played up and down to competition. But then you go to Miami where they have like the swag. It's the swag thing. I think that's the problem is the players just don't care. If things aren't going their way, they just say screw it, kind of thing. To me, that's just me as a team culture kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the 2000 Miami where you can get away with that stuff anymore.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have the leadership. It hasn't had the leadership. The 2000s. We're talking about like Ed Reed, Andre Johnson, like Sean Taylor.
You look at all the teams.
Those guys that if you were in the program and you weren't like bought in and committed, they would fucking murder you. I mean, like they would make your life hell.
Well,
I don't think they have those personalities in that locker room right now. It just doesn't seem like that. No.
Well, I mean, you don't see the same type of.
You don't want to get up for 5 a.m. weight lifts or too fucking bad.
You don't see that. You don't see that attitude though. At like places like Alabama, they may have some swag or some confidence, but you don't see that. You don't see that at Alabama. You don't see that. Definitely not that level like at Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon. You don't see that type of sweat. You can go to the fancy uniforms, Oregon. There's a difference between just like, hey, we look good, or we got to have the turnover chain and the goal chain. And they would pull it out when they're losing by like 3 scores and they get a turnover like 2 minutes left. And they'd be like, turnover chain. I'm like, dude, I would put that shit away and go sit the hell down. Go shut up. Sit down.
That's just a generational thing. Because I remember, was it one time, I think that the Carolina Panthers, I think they were playing the Eagles. They were down like 35-0, and Cam Newton ran it in for a quick score to be only down 35-7. He did his little Superman thing. It's like, stop doing that. You're getting wasted. I mean, that's just this generation.
I get it's confidence too, but yeah, it's like, dude, you're getting blown out. Don't be happy. You all of a sudden did something against like their backups. Don't be happy about that. Like, I'd be embarrassed. I'd be screaming at the sideline. That's what you see teams do.
Well, I have no issue with the turnover chain thing, but only use that when you're winning. You don't use that when you're
It's a
losing.
reward. It's a reward, not a good job. You did something, but you sucked the other like 50 minutes of the game.
Yeah, it's like.
I mean, well, like the Miami teams that were great had a lot of swag too. So they were high livers, themselves, but they understood, the sacrifices you needed to make to earn that level of swag. And these people, I don't know, this program feels like the kids feel entitled to it in some way. It's like when Ohio State lost Justin Scott to Miami, and I saw him, pose that Instagram picture, and he's on South Beach and stuff, and he's got the cash in the photoshopped image of money in his hands. I'm like, I think we kind of dodged one here. I don't think I really want this. I don't think we really wanted him. That's not the kind of attitude I want in the program at all.
Unfortunately, a lot of days now we know it's
Oh
it
man,
is a pay to play. It is
Like-
a pay to pay. It's who has the money to give the players because
Okay, but
the
programs that have done that have had no success with it.
Yeah, I was gonna
A&M
say,
in Miami, none.
like I say, if Texas A&M, should be in the playoffs every year, if money is the only thing that matters.
Oh well, yeah, in the sense that or projection of like rankings of the recruiting and stuff like that. Yes, they I mean every year they should win the title if it was just off the rankings.
But like you said, kids coming in out of high school aren't anywhere close to the peak. I don't care how good you are; you're not as good as you can be at 18 years old.
No. You have to build. It's a whole different level. It's like you go to the pros. Everyone says it. You still have to work up to that. You still have to build up to that level because it's all different. And that's why the only other one the only main one, unless the chat has a specific name there's countless names. Obviously, everyone's still waiting on Walter Nolan, number 1 transfer, 5-star from Texas A&M transferring, but it looked good for Oregon, but now it looks good for Mississippi or Ole Miss.
Yeah,
Which,
I was telling you in the back room, SEC usually SEC transfers to SEC. So I'm not even looking at it. He's probably going to Ole Miss, but I mean, I look through the, all the transfers, and usually if there's a SEC, if they were playing for an SEC team, their new team is going to be an SEC team. Occasional exception, but that's the rule.
Davison Igbinosun, big one this year for Buckeyes.
Yeah, and again, that makes sense. Stay in the footprint, the SEC footprint, stay in the South, especially if you're from there, if that's where you want to be. I mean, it makes sense. If we could get him, that'd be great. If we don't, it's kind of like, hey, good luck to you. There's no hard feelings there. It's like, okay, this is just part of the portal. It's just how all this recruiting works.
Yeah.
There's too many names in the damn portal to keep up with. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but there was a pretty cool stat I was impressed with from one of the bowl games in the 2023 Cure Bowl between Appalachian State and Miami, Ohio. There's 13 total combined fumbles, which is the most at a bowl game since the 1988 Peach Bowl between Iowa and North Carolina State. Now, for those that watched the Cure Bowl, I don't know if anybody in the chat watched, but what did everybody think about that game? It was pouring down rain, but funny thing though, it was also pouring down rain in the 1988 Peach Bowl as well.
I don't know if that's an amazing stat
So
or just a pathetic stat.
So in 1988, that must have been before the Georgia Dome, I guess. Georgia Dome wasn't built.
Obviously, it was the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was like the old Brave Stadium, I believe. But anyway,
it was. I remember the TV.
Okay. But I know that was when Hayden Fry was coaching back then.
13 fumbles.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's like one per drive, a team almost, basically.
One every 4 minutes, just about in the game.
It's like, oh god, that's terrible. It's terrible, but it's so funny. And now I'm gonna have to go watch. That's one of the few I didn't get to watch. I was trying to catch up with some other stuff, and I was like, now I gotta go home just for those highlights.
I saw that stat a little bit yesterday. I was flipping between that game and another bowl game. I was keeping an eye on Jacksonville State, who's basically the next James Madison. Because, I mean, I remember saying it on a call with it was the September predictions. I went over it with Mark like for a few minutes, and we were looking at Jacksonville State. I'm like, it would not surprise me if they became the next James Madison. I mean, they got a similar background, right? You know, James Madison was in the FCS. Then they are suddenly becoming a successful team in the FBS. Now we're seeing that with Jacksonville State, especially in their first season as an FBS school. They win their bowl game. They win the New Orleans Bowl against Louisiana in overtime. Great win. Great way to end a fantastic first season in the Conference USA.
Yeah, that was a good game. That was a close game. Obviously, went to overtime. I was like, because I was stressing at that point. I'm like, are all my picks gonna be wrong today? Like, don't do this.
I had
to me,
Jacksonville State, and they were down for much of that. I had Texas Tech; they were down much of their game. I had FAMU; they were down much of that game. I had UCLA; they were down much of that game. So, my bowl picks were like, oh god, I could easily go 1-6 today.
Yeah, that's why we're. To everyone here who doesn't know this, if you're in the Discord, which I know Jackson's got, I know he's got his link set up. But if you want to join our Discords right here, go to Patreon for Mark Rogers, or just become a YouTube channel member. Email Mark and let him know that you became a member, and you can get on our Discord. And we have a bowl pick'em system through the Discord, and we, yeah, yesterday people were, you, Mike, you were like, oh yeah, I'm a perfect score. I'm like, all right, we're gonna see how this is the first week. Calm down.
For sure. Well, Bim, when I think of the holiday season, Christmas time, and New Year's Eve, I think of two things: yummy Christmas food and college football bowl games. And I'll tell you this, though, folks. If you love exclusive live streams, watch parties, predictions, betting advice, and insider looks and all of college football, go to patreon.com/MarkRogersTV or become a YouTube member of the Voice of College Football. And you're going to get yourself a holly jolly Christmas by getting some of the best insider knowledge in all of college football. And especially watch these videos with Steve Merrill and Mark Rogers as they go over some of their predictions of each of the bowl games. And I'll tell you, man, it's helping me, that's for sure.
I need to make a banner. I need to make a banner to be like advert from Jackson. The solo screen layout. I can just tell when it's coming because you're like, by the way, you know, and I'm like, oh, here it comes. I'm like, cool. Take it away. A lot of people aren't excited about bowl games already. And yesterday, I think, showed that there were some good games. And Mike, you even sarcastically like, you're excited about this weekend? What? Why are we not excited about bowl games? It's because if there's no bowl games, people are going to be like, I miss football. Why is there no football? And then everyone's like, there's too many bowl games. I'm like, oh, go piss off.
Well, I mean, I can understand the Uncle Lou rant because, I mean, yesterday you got a bunch of 6-6 and 7-5 and junk teams playing each other. Where, and if you get towards the
11-2 Jacksonville State, right? There,
Jacksonville State was like 8-4, weren't they?
Were they? Oh yeah, okay.
FAMU had one loss.
Yeah,
going up against a 6-5 Howard. I picked FAMU for two reasons. One, it was 12-1, 11-1, or 12-1 versus 6-5. Also,
well, number two, it was Howard.
Yeah, and Howard is where female Satan went. And by female Satan, I mean Vice President Kamala Harris. So I wasn't going to pick Howard.
Jesus.
Isn't she from Stanton?
Why did I see that? Why did I see that coming all of a sudden,
No,
just randomly?
Condoleezza Rice went to Stanford, but Kamala Harris went to Howard. So I wasn't picking Howard. Screw her. But yeah, I mean, I
wonder if she's the one who gave the motivational speech before the game or afterwards about them losing, like the basketball team. Okay, all right, moving on, everyone, moving on. Carry on, Mike.
Well, and I was thinking about the New Mexico Bowl. Now, New Mexico State had a shot to play for their first 11-win season since 1960, but unfortunately, they didn't get that. However, it's been a tremendous season for New Mexico State. Gents, what did you think about Jerry Kill in New Mexico State and Fresno State in your state's New Mexico Bowl?
I didn't see the game, but I saw the like a 60-second clip of the press conference of them tearing into the New Mexico AD afterwards, and that was the highlight of this bowl weekend for me.
I'm thinking that Auburn's even worse than I originally thought.
Yeah, that was tough for them because they took out Auburn. Then they lost, for the second time, to Liberty, but in a 2-touchdown game, and then just got, wiped across the field in the bowl game. So it was kind of like a frustrating end after a very high season. But at the same time, that's how teams start building. Is this a one-time thing, and they're going to go back to being like 6-6 next year?
Well, 6-6 is a lot better than they were. I mean, they were going 1-11, 2-10 on a yearly basis for a while.
Yeah, but I know that Jeff Tedford didn't coach I don't think he was there at the New Mexico Bowl because he was out due to personal health issues. They had an interim coach, I believe.
He probably did a lot of the game planning, though. With the coaches.
It was announced before. Yeah, he was not going to be at the game.
Yeah, but we wish him a healthy recovery, and we wish him nothing but awesomeness, especially here at the Voice of College Football.
Yeah, Jeff Tedford is one of the staple people of college football. He's one of the people that have been around for a long time.
And he seems to me to have a very underappreciated career. I really think he did a lot to develop offensive football for a long time.
Oh man,
I mean, he made a lot of quarterbacks a lot of money. I know that,
especially Aaron Rodgers. That's for sure.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers was somewhat of a victim of him because he produced a lot of quarterbacks that busted in the NFL right before Rodgers, and I think a lot of people thought Rodgers was just another one of those Tedford tools that was just not going to work out, like Trent Dilfer, Achilles Smith, David Carr, those kind of Joey Harrington.
That's why they say like, is it a system quarterback? Is it that's why recruiting and drafting are totally different. Like people are like, oh, it's a system quarterback. And then you see like an Aaron Rodgers where he waited. They got picked up and like, okay. And then look at him. Then you see, he was overdrafted. He got drafted too high. And then they're like, well, maybe he should have gone higher because he's so good. So it's always one of those like, the evaluation is so hard because people don't know. Are you a system quarterback? Are you able to handle this style? What can you do? And yeah, that's why people get paid a lot of money to evaluate that.
And like CJ Stroud dealt with a lot of those same criticisms coming out. Well, anybody can put up big numbers at Ohio State with those weapons, that offensive system. Oh, yeah. How good is he really? And he came in and played.
Well, I got to be honest. When I think of Cal football legends, I think of former Cal head coach Jeff Tedford. I mean, he's usually at the top of my list. I mean, did such a tremendous job over at Cal, and like no coach can amount to what he's done, what he did at Cal. I mean, dude was tremendous.
Yeah, I mean they were a trash heap before he got there, and they've mostly been kind of a trash heap since he left. So the fact that he got them to a certain level and couldn't break them above that, I mean, that shouldn't be held against him. I mean, he's a fantastic coach, and I think he's underrated. His legacy is not in the proper context and proper place.
Well, true. Well, speaking of California football, speak of the devil, the Independence Bowl, where Texas Tech just dominated the holy crap out of the Pooh Bears. Like, what was your reaction? What was the reaction when Texas Tech ended their disappointing season with a 34-14 victory in the Independence Bowl?
Yeah, I thought Texas Tech might be a little. Yeah, I thought Texas Tech might be a little sad still about that shellacking they took from Texas, and Cal was kind of in the upswing, and then through like almost two quarters, it was looking good. And then Cal was like, "Hey, are we still playing a game? Oh, we forgot." Like they forgot they were still playing a game. I'm like, oh, killing me over here.
My thought every year with the Independence Bowl is there a worse bowl destination than Shreveport, Louisiana? That's I mean, these teams are going to Florida, Miami, or like, even like you go to Boston, New York, even Detroit. I mean, they're going to Shreveport.
Right, Rob. Yeah, Rob was like Detroit.
Well,
Detroit. But Shreveport is definitely one of the weird ones. Shreveport is definitely a weird one. It's it is a weird one. I will say that.
Yeah.
I actually did forget it was in Shreveport.
I'm sorry, everyone in Shreveport. I mean no harm. I know we've got a great base in Shreveport.
Boise, yeah. Hey, you get to play on the
blue
field.
No. I can't shit on Boise.
Boise, you get to play on the blue field. Get out of here. Yeah, Cal disappointed me yesterday. I thought their offense had shown up fine this year off and on. I thought they would be able to do it, but they did not. They just didn't have it.
No one expected Cal to make a bowl game this year either, right? I mean,
yeah, that's true. They went on a run a little bit at the end of the season to get to that point. So,
oh yeah. Well, and I was pretty surprised that they even made a bowl. I mean, the one good thing that Cal had this season was that they definitely ended the Pac-12 era with a bang by just shellacking and beating up on UCLA. I mean, good grief. I mean, 33-7. Oh my God. That's just pitiful.
And then what does UCLA do in their bowl game? I was like, UCLA's not going to have an offense. Oh, what do? They screw me in that game too. Thanks, UCLA, for showing up in the second half. Screwing me on that one.
Oh man, they screwed me too. No worries, but I will say,
fair. Chip Kelly was probably coaching for his job. I mean, he might have lost it if they really went out there and got embarrassed in this game. They might have.
Yeah, because we didn't read anything on there being a vote of confidence for 2024. Nothing. And UCLA fans, they have been hammering AD Martin Jamad on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. They've been telling him, read the room. And LA writers and Locked On UCLA, they all said, read the room.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Chris who hosts or he's one of the hosts on the Pac-12 show.
Pac-12 chat show.
Yeah, the UCLA fan, and I told him, I don't know if Chip really has like the energy or the desire to do what it takes to compete in this new era. He doesn't really love recruiting. He doesn't embrace sort of, the soft skill element of this, doesn't like schmoozing, doesn't like the networking. And he said, yeah, and I don't think the administration really does either right now. So there's there's a lethargy in this program that I don't think bodes well for them in the near term.
Does anybody in this room or in the chat think that UCLA is going to pull the trigger and go, yeah, you beat Boise State, but we're still firing you, or we're going to have you announce your resignation or something like that?
No.
And we're going to go get Jed Fish from Arizona.
No.
I'm generally not a fan of firing coaches. I think teams generally do it too often, but in Chip's case, I don't think. I think they need a lot more energy in that program.
They're not going to,
Yeah,
at least until if he goes, say this next year with the Big Ten. This has been a talk about several teams, so it's not just UCLA. So, and especially as someone who's had Chip as our coach before, and I have a huge respect and admiration for Chip Kelly.
You had a different.
He's not the same coach that he was a decade ago, or even in the NFL. He doesn't have that fire anymore. It doesn't feel like at times, but with changing conferences, he just beat their rival. Now he's won a bowl game. They're not going to want to fire him until at least, and if he went like, say he was 5-7 in the Big Ten this next year, then they may go, okay, now you're fired. But they're not going to bring in a new coach to that suffer on 1 year in a brand new conference, kind of like some other teams changing conferences. Just suck it up for a year and work on it, because who is UCLA going to go get? I know you say Jed Fish. I don't think Arizona is going to let Jed Fish go. I know Arizona has some financial issues. We don't need to get into all of those. That's a huge mess with their situation. But I think Jed Fish is more than happy where he is, in the situation he is and what he's built.
Oh, I don't know.
Where I don't think he would just jump to UCLA.
I don't know. There's got to be too many programs after what Fish did with Arizona, especially after Fafita replaced Delora. He's got to be the hot name right now, because I know that if Harbaugh was to ever bolt for the NFL, Fish is who I want them to call first.
And no one's even gone after him that we're aware of. I mean, maybe his name's been floated, but no one's actually really seriously gone after him and like offered him, and he turned it down that we're aware of. So I don't think UCLA would like draw his attention, at this point. I think he's more than happy, but UCLA is not going to fire Chip Kelly at this moment. They're going to wait for like a bad year in the Big Ten. Next year, if he goes bowling, wins 7-8 games or something with a bowl win, they're going to keep him.
So basically, it's going to be like Houston this year, where like last season, Houston disappointed everybody in the 2022 season. And they're like, let's just wait until the end of the first year of the Big 12. And then Houston has a bad year in the first year of the Big 12, and they're like, let's fire Holgson.
Yeah, kind of like why put a new coach in that situation to take the heat for maybe a bad roster when it's not his team technically. Don't do that to, especially if he's already under contract anyways. Chip Kelly's
and I was looking
I
at
don't think that should ever be the rationale for you're going to keep the coach who built that shitty roster.
Well, the problem is, like you said, UCLA, Cal, Stanford, especially those three, don't really give a shit. They're not Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Oregon, or even like USC now, like drawing
or
big
Washington.
names and taking action on people and making changes if they have to. They're not these people. UCLA is just kind of like, okay, that's just how they are.
I mean,
yeah.
Well, and I was going over.
They have different. They don't value winning in college football at the level that most teams in the Power 5 do.
Well, and they're getting a payday out of the Big Ten regardless. They're getting the full payout,
right.
So they're going to start making a lot more money regardless of win, lose. Doesn't matter. They're getting the revenue. So they're like, screw it. We win no matter what.
Well, and another reason why I asked whether UCLA was going to fire Chip Kelly or not was because even though the coaching carousel seems to be over for now, let's not forget, we've seen over the last few years that one job opening a little bit during the bowl season or after bowl season. So I can't help but wonder if there's going to be that one job that opens up before we know it in, like, say, January 3rd or January 4th. We've seen strange things happen, especially in the world of college football. And that's another thing I want to bring up.
I think that would be almost more NFL though. If the big team, those are like the big teams coming up, for the end of the year, they get done. The NFL comes calling like, "Hey, we want you to be a position coach," and they're like, "Okay, cool," and they jump to the NFL or something like that. But I don't think Chip Kelly's going anywhere. I'm just gonna say that straight up. He'll be there next year at UCLA.
Probably.
And I think once he inevitably gets relieved of his duties at UCLA, I think we'll never see him on a sideline ever again.
Oh, you think he'll be like on TV or start his own show or something
on TV or on a beach somewhere for the rest of his life or something like that. I mean,
or like mowing, or do you think he'll be like? Or do you think
he loves LA. He loves LA. He says he actually really loves where he lives and where I don't know where he lives in LA, that region, that area. He loves it. He's happy there now, and I'm like, I think, I think for him it won't be a firing. It'll be more like forced out, where he casually resigns and walks away on his own good terms.
And then he just goes hangs out on Manhattan Beach for the next 20 years.
I would, fuck yeah, I'd go join. Could you imagine him, Ed Ogeron, Jimbo Fisher, and some other random outcast coach just chilling on like a beach in Hawaii or something like that? Like, just like, hell yeah, counting their money.
Yeah, because I mean, Chip Kelly does not look like the kind of guy that's satisfied with mowing lawns, drinking beer, talking about the good old days, and watching me TV at 2:00 in the afternoon on a weekday. He does not look like that kind of guy that would be satisfied with doing that. And if he is satisfied with doing that, he'd only be satisfied a week, and he's like, "Oh, I hate this. I want to put the headset back on."
I could see TV for him. Oh my god, please. I don't think he would ever do it. He'd be like he would be a TV personality. I want to see Fox hire him as an announcer, and him and Mark Helfrich have to do an Oregon game together.
Oh,
that would be absolutely amazing to have to watch Chip Kelly and Mark Helfrich announce an Oregon game.
Oh, and while we're at it, put that game on Friday night. That would make it better.
Oh, God.
That is a name I haven't actually heard in a while. Mark Helfrich, does he work for Fox now, or is he?
Yeah, he's been a game analyst for a booth announcer for like 4 years.
Okay.
He's called multiple Oregon games. The first few times I was like, this is kind of weird, because he tries not to be like an Oregon homer. He tries his best really hard not to do it. He tries.
Wow. Well, and there was another coach I was looking at, and I don't think he's on the hot seat or anything, because, like you said, Cal, Stanford, UCLA, they don't care all that much about football. I couldn't help but notice that the last time Cal had a winning record was in 2019, the third year of the Justin Wilcox era. What's going to happen if Cal has some kind of losing record next season? What's going to happen with Wilcox? Do you think they're satisfied with him for now, or?
I don't think he's going.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like 6-6, he overachieved. I mean,
it's one of those teams that who are they going to go get?
True.
They aren't paying Wilcox like that much money. And it did shock me. I didn't even realize how bad it was until I saw that highlight last night. A little bit of quotes of like Justin Wilcox, Cal under him, 1-1 in bowl games. I'm like, they've only gone to this is their third bowl game under Wilcox in like 7 or 8 years. I didn't even realize it had been that bad.
Oh yeah, they are one of the most irrelevant programs in the Power Five. You never think about them.
Yeah, I think Cal is just in that situation where they just don't care. Remember, Cal had their own financial too with that whole, not Bitcoin, but their whole.
FTX.
Yeah,
Yes.
and they had to like tear down all the banners and stuff like that because it went bankrupt on them, or they have their own like financial stuff going on too. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think Wilcox relatively is safe as long as he doesn't like totally screw up somehow, because the fan base there is not going to like revolt because they just really don't care that much.
Well, they will take the field and protest if there's a professor getting fired.
That was the biggest uprising of the student body in a football game, I think, probably at Cal in like 20 years.
Breaking news.
So this week we got
breaking news, Mike, or
according to Erica, she said, I guess she got on Twitter saying that Rayola's sticking with Georgia instead of going to.
Who said that?
Rutrow.
Oh man,
Is he? Is staying with Georgia? Oh, well,
No,
wow.
please
Nebraska
don't.
would have struck. Nebraska would have struck out big time if they lost. They lost both quarterbacks.
That's
man.
nuts for them because
Keep in mind the source here. This is a Hawkeye.
Yeah. Well, also, is it a confirmed, like the actual source it's supposed to come from? Is it if that's the case and they lost on a ball quarterback? Oh man.
Steve Wiltfong is saying that he's maintaining communication with Kirby Smart.
It's still not good if he's looking at other schools, but he's like, I'm still talking with Georgia though. Like,
Well, how
I'm gonna
about
figure this out.
They've always got Heinrich Harbinger to lean on. So
that's kind of a dick move after McCord decided to shun Nebraska for Syracuse.
This is my thought. Nebraska would be nuts. I'd be like, really? Nebraska would be the most cursed program in college football, I think, forever if they literally lost two top quarterbacks.
Yeah, they had 2 5s. Yeah, where they were entertaining 2 5-stars, and now they were entertaining no 5-stars.
now they've got Heinrich Harbinger.
It feels like we're watching Charlie Brown pitching in real life. Where it's just like every time he pitches, something goes wrong.
Or Peppermint Patty picks up the football.
Oh yeah, with Lucy picking up the football. Yeah,
Lucy? I thought it was Peppermint Patty. I don't watch Peanuts.
No, Peppermint Patty and Marcy. Marcy always calls her sir.
That's been a long time.
Yeah, I'm not up on my.
That would be extremely a sad day for Nebraska as a program, though. That would be, yeesh. So I know, Mike. You said though, and we're going to touch upon this. I just wanted to bring up the right now projected. Since we're on transfer stuff and coaching stuff, right now transfer portal says Ole Miss is number 1 in the overall composite ranking for the transfer portal. Colorado number 2, Louisville number 3, Arizona State number 4, TCU number 5. But like we said earlier, I think that's quantity, not just quality.
Right.
And that's why, because the transfer portal has been really quiet in the sense of the big names. A lot of the big names still have not made their move. And so I think you're just seeing a lot of 3 stars, so they're gaining those points in the rankings.
I am kind of curious to see how Colorado comes out because they pulled off a real coup by getting Jordan Seaton.
Yes, they did.
Who was not, to my knowledge, he was not in. Colorado was not in his Final Four, and he just all of a sudden just pulled Colorado out of his ass.
No, he wasn't. It was Oregon, and then he went to Ohio State, and then he just randomly went to Colorado. I was like, oh, Colorado, and we're both Ohio State and Oregon were like, yo. What the hell, dude?
Happened?
We're like, what the hell?
I mean, it also is one of those like there's got to be some people that are looking out for like the long-term best interests of these kids. I mean, yeah, Colorado may be offering you more NIL right now, but they have zero proven track record on ability to develop.
It's also probably playing
That's a
time.
line. I mean,
NIL playing time.
Oregon and Ohio State, like these are legit out like top of the line programs, and you're going to go to this like circus show in Boulder. Wow.
Where if you don't perform, the coach is going to say, "I'm going to get rid of you," or "You need to leave."
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering.
You go to Colorado then. I mean, it's
I'm waiting for Colorado to be the new A&M, where you're going to get all this high priced talent that's not going to prove
so far it is. So far it is. I mean, 1 year in. Now, if next year it happens again in the new Big 12, I would legitimately put them side by side with the Jimbo Fisher A&M over the last couple of years. Hype, but no results.
Yeah, and I mean, like eventually, I think you'll see this model of just like throwing money around and just having boosters and NIL collectives try to build your program. That will be a failure.
Yeah, here I get it though. Exactly, Ralph is saying it. It's like, you get them if you're offered like $1 million, take that shit. Especially play time. A lot of kids don't want to sit, but he's an O lineman. He needs to sit and learn for a year, But if he can get upper of almost $1 million, I'd take it. I mean, I don't blame him either. I don't care. He went to Colorado, fine. If he went to Ohio State, fine. It was just kind of out of the blue.
Yeah, but I'm saying like go to a legitimate program with proven results and how they can develop players, become a top 10 pick, sign a $30 million contract right then, get endorsements. That's going to far outweigh any sort of NIL advantage that a program with absolutely no track record of developing anybody is going to get.
Well, this is a good question too for you guys as well as the chat. And this is something we haven't had to think about or deal with yet because NIL is still so new that most of the people who have gotten a lot of NIL money, probably have gone on the NFL at least for a few years, so they made more money. So let's just take, for instance, a guy like this. Take a guy like C. So let's just say he gets paid for or just any college football player. They make, say, over a college career, they make, say, like $2.5 million. Then they get like maybe a free agency signing, get cut, but they make a couple $100,000 for their time. It'll be interesting to see in 5-6 years later how many of them are bankrupt because they didn't know what to do with their money. They spent it all, and it's gone. Like lottery winners, a lot of people who say they win the lottery, half of them are broke in 5 years because they're like, we didn't save any of it. Because they went out and blew their money on stuff, not realizing the expense of another thing. Like, I have $100 million. I win the lottery. I went and bought a $50 million house because I could pay cash. Oh, I didn't realize it cost $200,000 a month to run that bitch and upkeep it.
My advice to those that come into big money like that, I say do what you've been doing for a year. And if you want to spend it or use it on investments, do so when the year is up.
Well, if you remember, ESPN, one of their 30-30s was called Broke, and it detailed all those big athletes. I mean, guys that had made $200, $250, $300 million in their career going broke. Tyson was worth like $350 million, and he was flat ass broke. He was having to fight just to keep out of debtor's jail. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me a bit for somebody with $2 million to go broke.
No,
that's easy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's why I say like that's why you hear people that win like almost $100 million, and then they'll buy like a $40-50 million house and go, oh, I didn't know it cost me literally like $100,000 a month to run it and maintain it. Electric, landscaping, everything, and then 10 years later they're broke.
Yeah.
For some reason, even though which doesn't make sense to me because I'm like, sell the property. And somehow they foreclosed on that too or something. I'm like, how does this? How do you? So I hope what Ryan's saying here is implementing class to help players, I think they better be, because
They
I
should.
mean, there should be, you know, something more extensive than like they have to go to a few seminars on, you know, investment, and hopefully they have like, you know, real financial advisors in the program, in the building that these players
put
can
that,
access.
that shit in
Well-
retirement funds. Don't touch it.
Well,
I
that's the
mean,
thing.
if you're getting out of high school, you know, a $300,000 NIL offer, if you're smart with that, you can make that work for the rest of your life. I mean, you really can. You can put these into fairly, you know, good assets that will reliably appreciate in value.
Well, no,
And you can start to build a real life off of that.
it's called sudden wealth syndrome. It's what happens whenever somebody that's like 18, 19, 20 years old that's been broke their entire life suddenly comes into a great sum of money,
Of course.
especially money that they didn't, you know, build towards, you know, like develop a business and then, you know, reap their, it's just instant sudden wealth, and they just don't know how to handle it. Because I mean, you'd be surprised how college kids don't know damn thing about taxes. You'd see something that's like, wow, how come a third of my paycheck is gone? Hey, dumbass, it's called taxes. You know, you didn't know about this because you've never made money before in your entire life. And all of a
Well,
sudden,
unfortunately, I
that's
don't
the house
think
scenario.
this is taught in schools. Like, no, I don't think we learn a lot about the tax system,
No.
how it works.
You don't learn how it affects you. You might learn about taxes, but you don't really realize, oh, that also happens to me. Like that's why I give the house scenario of like, okay, I may pay cash for this house. Wait, I still have to pay electric, garbage, utilities,
Yep.
tax,
Property
property tax. You don't realize the upkeep of that property. It's not just you paid for it; it's yours.
yeah.
Then
And
you
so-
have to pay all the extra shit after that forever.
and
And people don't realize that.
the 30 for 30 goes
But-
through all the other stuff.
But
So-
I mean, these kids that are 18, 19 years old, they don't they're moving on the college campuses. They're not buying houses.
Well, no. I was using the lottery example for those for winners who get
Right.
a large sum of money and go big. So it's the same thing though. You get $2 million in NIL, and you're like, I want this $70,000 sports car. Not really. Oh shit, my insurance now for every 6 months is going to be $4,000 because I don't have a driving record, or I have a few tickets on my license. You know, stuff like that. You don't process these things, and they're under 25, so they buy a sports car and their insurance is immediately high. You know, they don't understand. That's not an offense. That's not an attack or offense on the kids. That's just life and reality. People learn.
No, so I'm not going to blame like somebody like Jordan Seaton for making these decisions. I don't know if he's in a position to know better, but there are people around who should. It's like, you know, and there may be other reasons why he went to Colorado and why people are going to Miami and all this stuff. You know, it'd be a very interesting discussion to see, like, but my guess is they're not taking, you know, the broader context of the rest of their lives into appropriate context when they're making these decisions.
All right, I'm marking this date down.
I think they're making some of these decisions for very narrow, very superficial reasons.
December 17th, 2023. We are going to revisit this. We're going to revisit this December 17th, 2028, and see how many of these guys are broke and poor.
Yeah. No, and I mean, like, I do think the newness of the NIL and stuff, it's opening an avenue for a lot of hustlers, a lot of, you know, junk agents to come in and milk these guys for what they're worth in the next year or two, and get out and get what they can. You know,
Sandra,
I mean,
the things that kids get away with these days in schooling of any level is frightening. I have inside knowledge into what goes on in schools. It's scary. So, anyways, we're not going to get into that. I'm excited for bowl games this week, gentlemen.
Right,
let's go.
Bowl games, real football.
I know.
Oh man, the Gasparilla Bowl.
Shit all over the bowl games this week, but I'm excited.
I'm excited about the Gasparilla Bowl, the Jekyll and Hyde Bowl between Georgia Tech and Central Florida. I wonder which best version is going to show up.
is a good one because I'm still looking at the James Madison Air Force game. Is Air Force going to show up, and is James Madison going to, having lost their coach, are they going to play good? I'm looking at that one, but that Georgia Tech UCF game, that actually that could be a good one.
Yeah, and what does everybody think about the Boca Raton Bowl, the former Big East matchup between South Florida and Syracuse?
Not thinking much of it. Syracuse has an interim coach, and South Florida. Kind of surprised to see them in a bowl game. They've been really bad for a while.
I mean, the only real claim to fame for South Florida is how they played Alabama. Other than that, they've been kind of a nothing.
Oh, the line on the Air Force game is James Madison minus 2.5.
Is it? That's what I was trying to pull up right now. It is, yes, minus 2.5, 41.5 over under.
Yep. That's your line on the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl.
We're talking, 21-17, 24-21 type game, probably.
Yep.
Somewhere in that realm.
But that Las Vegas Bowl, I'm excited about that. David Braun and Northwestern going up against a Utah team that's just been kind of depleted by injuries this season.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Bryson Barnes had to show a despicable display of integrity and pride and actually decide to play this game and leaving Utah with a quarterback.
I picked Utah because, especially after that news came out, I was like, Utah, let's go. They have a quarterback.
Like what a low life actually showing up for the team he's committed to. I mean, like just no words low enough for Bryce.
You can tell also how desperate it was. He's like, I'm transferring, but I'll play the bowl game if you want. And Utah's like, thank you. Please. God. You're the only quarterback we have left. Literally. Yeah. You're it. Like, no. That's all we have.
And he's depriving us of a pure Wildcat game.
That's literally what I thought it would just be. I literally just thought Utah was going to run Wildcat the entire game, which could work. I mean, really, if you really think about it, it could work. But
definitely.
Well, what does everybody think about the Frisco Bowl in Frank Harris's last game as UTSA quarterback against the Marshall Thundering Herd?
UTSA is a little bit of a disappointment this year. I thought they might be one of those top teams competing for that New Year's Six bid, but they suffered a couple losses early and kind of removed themselves from the elite of the power of the Group of Five discussion. But,
well, I mean, that loss against Houston was disappointing right there. I mean, they came up short on that. And they got beat by Army on a Friday night, which Army, every time they're an underdog against a top team, they always thrive.
They went. I think they went to Colorado Springs, right, and just took it to an undefeated Air Force team in the middle of the season. Yeah.
Oh man, Army. Oh, good grief! They got out the belt and gave. They got out the belt and spanked Air Force 23-3. They got that belt. They're just like, no sir. We're coming into your house.
Shout out one final time, Army and claiming 100% Commanders in Chief trophy. Thank you, Army, for beating Navy in that one. Go Army! Always beat Navy.
Jeff Monken has done such a tremendous job at Army. I've loved the job he's done over there.
People don't realize how hard it is to coach at the academies. The academies have lightened up some of the restrictions, like for O linemen on the weights and stuff like that because of it. But I mean, like, it's still such a hard job to coach at the academy schools.
I mean, and you realize they only get them for like not
4 years.
They only get you can't redshirt there. You can't bring transfers in. And and they only get them during the week for like 14 hours they have a very limited schedule because
They have their own schedule they have to do. I mean, they're at the academy. That's their purpose, not football.
No,
At the academy.
no.
I mean,
and I mean, obviously, like I don't know. I mean, a lot of these guys aren't going to even like the 2-star recruits that you're aren't even even the recruits you're fighting for, like a lot of them aren't going to want to sign up for 4 years of being around like 90% guys while they're in college, and then another 4 years of military service. So, yes,
because
it's an incredibly different place.
they're not just going to college. I mean, that's it. I mean, as someone, I mean, and I know this is not like whatever a prop thing. It's like as someone who's done active duty Army service too. It's like, well, the academy does kind of the same thing, but then you're doing college. Plus, then you're doing leadership courses for the academy because you're becoming an officer. Then you're doing the football on top of it. Plus, any of your other requirements, like they have their little community service stuff that they're required to do. I'm sure there's a lot that they do on a weekly basis in year round. It's like
They do they do like ROTC stuff there?
No. ROTC's mincemeat
That's high
compared to
school.
what the academy, high school compared to what the academy guys go through. It's
we have an
no,
echo.
they
Whatever you did earlier, Sean.
okay.
Got the reverb again.
It's all good. Yeah, as long as we keep the mute, and that's an easy fix for it instead of dealing with settings, because that becomes a nightmare. Mike, you've been quiet. What are your thoughts? What are you looking forward to this week?
Drinking. I mean,
watching.
While watching.
If you want to be honest, I mean, as far as like in the bowl games in the next week, probably the one I've got circled is, and I'm a Troy graduate, so I'm looking for my Trojans to go against the Duke Blue Devils. That's the one I'm looking at most.
Sweet.
And also because I have Troy beating Duke, and that's my 42-pointer.
Ooh.
Well, and the fact that Troy is playing for a shot at their second straight 12-win season. That's pretty big right there.
And it's going to be a bit of a struggle with Summerall gone. So now, you know, Duke is in the same head coaching thing, but Troy. I mean, Troy's been getting decent coaches lately. You know, like Neil Brown and John Summerall and stuff like that. But I don't know how they're going to do kind of with a leaderless team right now. But Troy's a legit team, and Duke, without a Riley Leonard, I think they can be had. And for all those reasons, I went Troy as a 42-pointer.
It was 42 the top. It was 42 bowl games, right?
43 was. I had FAMU beating Howard for my 43.
Oh, there you go. So.
I got Kansas. I got Ben. I got your Donald Ducks as my 43.
I have that as my 43 too. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a safe bet.
What was your 43?
Oregon over Liberty.
Yeah. No faith in the Fighting Falwells.
I almost would have went that, except I saw Tulane beat USC last year, so I was like, okay, so every time the group of five, beauty queen comes up against a Pac-12 team, the Pac-12 team shits the bed. So it's like, I don't know if I want to.
That Tulane team though was a hell of a lot better than this Liberty team is.
Yeah. No.
We'll see.
It's a
we
bad year for a group of five. No one really separated.
I was a little short-sighted, and I apologize. We talked about this earlier. Is that to the chat too? Is next week is Christmas Eve, and then the following Sunday is New Year's Eve. That was a kind of a poor hindsight or a look on my part. So what actually I'd like the chat to do in the next 2 weeks, because we're going to figure out if we're going to be here next week at all or the following week. Because of the holidays, it's weird. Everyone has plans. They've got stuff to do, travel. In the next 2 weeks, what bowl games, specifically for the panel here and in the chat, are you looking forward to? Because there's a couple, if you scroll forward. I know it's kind of a last-second thing. I like the I'm curious to see what USC looks like against Louisville. Kansas against UNLV.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
NC State, Kansas State without Will Howard. But I think I just off the top of my head, I mean, of course, I like Missouri, Ohio State. But if we're not going to those types of games, like I said, Oregon State, Notre Dame, and Arizona, Oklahoma. I think if I had to pick like 5 bowl games to watch, those would be like the 5 that I'm like, I have to watch over the next couple weeks.
Tulane
Outside of the New
without
York
Michael. Oh, here's another one. Tulane without Michael Pratt versus Virginia Tech in the Military Bowl.
Ooh.
And for next 2 weeks, I'm looking at Arizona, Oklahoma.
Oh God, that's gonna be a good one.
I kind of want to see if Arizona can keep riding this wave of success with Fafita.
Well, and is Oklahoma after Gabriel is their quarterback of the future that they all wanted? Oklahoma fans said they wanted this guy to take over. Is he going to be the guy that they actually want or not? That'll be a good test.
Well, and another thing is also the Pop-Tarts Bowl. What I'm thinking about is
Fuck the Pop-Tart Bowl. Damn it. I forgot about the Pop-Tart Bowl.
If you
Yeah,
say
I was
the
gonna
words
say-
edible and mascot, I'm going to punch you.
Edible mascot. Edible mascot.
So,
Yeah.
I
Let's
just
go.
wonder how they're going to, like at the Duke Mayo Bowl where, they dose the winning coach with mayonnaise. How are they going to dose the winning coach? Is it going to be with like a bunch of Pop-Tarts or just Pop-Tart frosting? Because I'll tell you what, though, if that were me, that would be yummy.
Pop-Tart frosting is hard as hell.
But
It's gotta be superheated.
That's only after it's been baked. I mean,
It's got to be super. It's got to be superheated, so it's just that nice 3rd-degree burn level temperature. Or maybe the coach has to go hug the mascot while the players eat the mascot.
Maybe just throw Pop-Tarts at him.
Maybe the coach is inside the mascot uniform and the players are eating off the coach.
Okay, this is going to a very dark area now.
I forgot about that. I can talk about this every week. I'm
massive
going
trip
to
right
make
now.
a short clip out of this just to put this up so we can just keep talking about the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Well, I do want to say a whole bunch of Ohio State players have announced that they are going to play in the Cotton Bowl. So not quite the high number of defections that may have been anticipated. So,
Oh, man.
Yeah,
It's
and
going to be miserable for Missouri. I mean, I'm just like, don't let your children watch the Cotton Bowl. Ohio State's
know.
I don't know about that. And Missouri's a good team. They're a capable.
I was about to say, I was
opponent.
like, don't count Missouri. Don't count Missouri out on that one.
Oh, I'm
Don't count
sorry.
Missouri.
I'm
not
sorry.
going to say that I maybe picked Missouri to win that game on our bowl pick'ems.
I picked Ohio State because I heard that there was going to be some guys returning. Because if everybody that I had heard was transferring out or opting out or whatever and stuff like that, I'd have picked Missouri.
The thing I have with this, think of it. If Kyle McCord was the starting quarterback, their backups weren't even that good, and then he left. So I kind of take out the quarterback situation for Ohio State, and I go, and Marvin Harrison, he's not playing, right?
We don't know. He hasn't announced. He might be coming back.
I'm going to assume he's
we
not.
don't even know if Travion.
Oh, that means he's going to play. I mean, because it's like we were talking about last week, how he wants to beat Michigan at least once.
Yeah, but the whole talk about like $20-30 million NIL, that's far-fetched.
Oh, for me, I'd say to hell with that money. I want revenge against my rival.
Yeah, that's great.
Revenge is better.
Until you start waving millions of dollars in somebody's face.
I was
I don't get
Revenge
is better.
He grew up a millionaire, though. So, I mean, he's
Exactly.
I was like, you can say, here's like $4 million NIL, and the NFL's like, well, here's $20-30 million for a rookie contract. You're gonna be like, yo, I don't have to go to class anymore or anything like that. Psh, hello.
Oh, come on. You think
Well,
they're going
that
to
is
class at Ohio
true.
State? Come on.
But how would I get revenge against my rival? That's what I'm
Just beat him
thinking.
you beat him in the NFL and talk shit to him.
CJ Stroud went 0-2, and I don't think he's regretting all the money he's making.
Probably
But
not.
he was also a guy. I mean, he waited until the very, very last second. I mean, like legitimately within the hour of the deadline to announce that he was going to the draft last year. So it's I mean, it's a real thing. I mean, you spend any time in Ohio losing to Michigan's not acceptable at all. I mean, trust me, it came up multiple times this weekend.
I don't think Travion Henderson has even made a decision about whether he's playing or not.
I think he's probably coming back, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's and he's in a different spot because he's not going to be a top 5, top 10 pick.
When do they give out? When do they give out the draft reports? Is there an official?
They probably have already. The advisory committee has probably already got.
Okay, I was about to say. I was like, I know a lot of people probably wait just to get that back to be like, am I going to be in the top 3 guaranteed probably or later? And if you're not in the top 2, most people return because unless they're out of eligibility or they're just tired of it, they're like,
yeah.
Is that
I mean, like. Some people get screwed by those advisory committees because your draft value fluctuates a lot between the end of the season.
Oh yeah. There are people that it's like, you're 3rd round, and then they're an undrafted free agent.
Yeah. Like Luke Whippler last year, he was only a 3rd-year guy. He had potentially 2 more years of eligibility, bolted as center, and he ended up going
a couple of our
like 190th overall. I mean, he was a 6th round.
Our cornerbacks have done the same. Now they're still in the league, but they didn't get that paycheck that they were expecting to get initially. But they're still in the league playing, so they're making money anyways. But they got screwed on their draft stock. Erica, don't worry about it. That's why we were asking. Like, looks like the Raiola post was done by a Troy, Iowa fan, not me. Promise. Sorry, didn't mean to pass on.
You're good.
This is why
your sources, okay?
This has been going. This is all over the place of this type of thing. There have been so many posts. The dumbest one I've seen, which it looked legitimate. It was a guy who made a banner, looked 100%, like true from 247 Sports, saying Michael Penix was foregoing the playoff to go to the NFL, and I'm like, where's the link and where is the source? And it says 247, but I'm like, it looked official. Look, it was a beautifully done poster.
Oh yeah,
it was fake. I'm like, where's the link? I need info. I searched 5 sites. I'm like, there's nothing. So, what is this? And it was everywhere.
Yeah, and Erica, I almost fell for this. I almost believed I saw a post that said Cooper DeJean had entered the transfer portal. and it had the On3. It was an On3 logo. I think the guy changed his name to On3. But then you look, it's like at Cyclone Guy.
Yeah. That's why I'm looking at the official sites when I'm talking the stats that I see. I'm looking at the official sites. But you can.
I fell for the On3 thing, but it said, everybody has to chat for when looking at stories that are important, such as this, is make sure you look at where it's at. Like, what's the Twitter handle? What's the social media handle? That'll tell you.
Where is it coming from? What's the link that it came from? If someone's sharing it, did it come from an actual link or is it just a picture of something? Because it's so easy to fall for some of this. I'm not saying Erica fell for anything or was like trying to, like she said, not trying to spread. It's going to happen in the off season. It's college football. Everyone's talking trash to each other, and hoping for the worst and the best for.
Well, I knew there wasn't a Cooper DeJean transfer because if there was, there would be a notification from Corey at Hawkeye the Storm with him just screaming and crying into a towel.
Oh God!
Don't you ever say Corey would cry into a towel? Corey would cry like a man.
Don't make Corey cry.
Right? He's Iowa tough.
He's a cool dude, man.
No, he's great. But I mean, that kind of loss that would devastate Iowa.
Well, I mean, they're probably going to lose him, but probably not to the transfer portal.
Well, I mean, they'll eventually lose him to the NFL, but I'm pretty sure he's playing next year.
You think he's coming back?
Yeah, I think he might.
That would be.
I mean, it is getting a little late to hear if people are going to the. By now, usually, at least you hear people saying this is going to be my last game. I know some people don't until they decide. There are players that play their final game and then go a day later. Go, I'm going to the NFL. They just don't want to say it beforehand to not demotivate the team necessarily or whatever. But
Right. Well, one game I'm definitely looking forward to is the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl between the Ole Miss Rebels and the Penn State Nittany Lions. Now, both these teams have a reputation of not being able to win the big games, but however, Penn State usually does well in the bowl games, and they've proven that. Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, they don't tend to do so hot in the bowl games.
Yeah, but the difference here is that Ole Miss has both their
news.
coordinators.
Big news for Penn State that broke today. Tom Allen, the Indiana coach.
He's the new DC.
New DC, yeah.
Man, Penn State
it's weird. I feel bad for not even thinking about his name when
oh
we
yeah,
talk about
well that's because Manny Diaz, Diaz went to.
This is a perfect fit. I love this fit.
Manny Diaz went to Duke.
Duke, that's right. I was like, oh
Yeah.
crap, that's right. Where did Diaz?
Yeah, he took
go?
the head coach job at Duke.
I like that too. You go from Elko to another DC, and then you take someone like Tom Allen, put him right in Penn State. I like that. Those all seem like perfect kind of flips.
I'd argue Elko to Duke was damn near a lateral move.
Well, I'm just gonna say,
I would agree.
Penn State's making some pretty good staff moves for 2024. I mean, getting Andy Kotelnicki from Kansas, that is an amazing hire right there. And the fact that they got Tom Allen to be their DC, they are telling me, look, we can do this in 2024. We're going to make the hires to prove it.
No, these are good hires. These are, I mean,
I think all of these are good hires. They make perfect sense. I don't see why anyone's like someone who says this is a bad hire. It seems like a bad hire. Yeah, whatever. They're just hating.
Tremendous.
The one thing I do have a question with is between James Franklin and Tom Allen, is there enough Red Bull in State College to satisfy both of them?
Yeah, I'm going to assume Tom Allen is like, it's mine, bitch. Get off. That man is hyped all the time. He's taking all the Red Bull. He's taking all the energy drinks, all the coffee, everything. Eric, I do want to once again appreciate the super chat here. So don't worry, no false information. You never know. Like we said, there's so much going on all the time. But once again, to the art of the loyal, I am a Hawkeye fan. Well, she's better than Corey. She's better than Corey Brada.
We'll forgive you because of the nickel.
Steel cage match.
Again, thank you, Eric.
Gonna have a stalk of corn at the top and have to climb this chair.
So is there anything else? It's you know, it kind of sucks. It's a kind of a quieter week. I think we thought the transfer portal would have a lot more splash and flair to a degree, but a lot of the top players are just kind of still like sitting around. I think waiting on, holidays, make their final couple visits and before they make decisions. Because I thought we would be like, hey, big news here and there, but we haven't seen anything.
We do have a signing day coming up in a couple of days, and this is a big signing day for Ohio State. I mean, there's a lot of drama surrounding some of our top guys. Jeremiah Smith claims to remain firm. The number one player in the country claims to remain firm in his commitment to Ohio State.
Yeah, but he's been flirting with some other teams.
Yep, absolutely. And as has Edric Houston, took an official visit to Alabama this weekend. So, I'll be happy. Hopefully once Wednesday comes, I can stop uploading this like a schoolgirl following the Real Housewives or something, and then
it's like when you're looking in the mailbox, you're just like.
I do need to touch upon this before I forget about it, because I did forget some big news, and I am not obviously I'm not a USC fan.
Yeah, you could have told
Trojans,
me.
Trojans. Yeah. But after USC made I'd say it's a pretty good lateral transfer hire, stealing UCLA's DC. Then they went out and took North Dakota State's head coach to be linebacker coach and
Matt
co-DC. Then they took another guy. I'm trying to remember who it was all of a sudden to be the secondary coach. I can't remember his name, but I was like, oh, okay. They said you go hire whoever you want. And
Doug
that guy
Belt.
that guy has gone out and gotten big. If you take North Dakota State's head coach to be a co-DC/linebacker coach, you ain't screwing around.
No, you're
You are not
fixing
screwing
things
around.
for.
Yeah, but they need some personnel like right now because
Right now, but coming up in the next year or so, I mean,
God, you leave North Dakota State as a head coach to be a position coach?
probably
well,
makes
and co-DC,
money's
yeah,
good.
it's kind of a weird way to do it. I'm gonna have to guess that they're giving him leverage of some sort, and obviously the pay raise is a lot more. But it is surprising for a head coach because you've seen the other North Dakota State coaches go on to have success, Kleiman. You've seen these coaches move on and have success. So,
yeah,
I'm assuming he thinks, okay, a couple years doing this, and then I'll get a G5 job, head coach or something, or maybe take over the full DC role. Maybe there's got to be something in the works and the talks or something where he has leverage more than just being the linebacker coach, basically.
yeah.
But they're not playing around. They're going out and they're getting some good names on that defense. So will it work though? That's the question mark. It sounds good. It looks great. Will it work? And we'll have to see.
I'll tell you one thing about them going to the Big Ten. I mean, the Big Ten offensively as a conference has been kind of in the dumps for a little bit. So that might be something to fix an ailing defense in and of itself.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. I wonder if a couple years in a Power 5 doing good gets a better opportunity to be a head coaching somewhere else. That's what I think he's looking at, plus the payday now. But yeah, will it all come together and work as a team? Because is it too many names battling it out? You wonder, is that going to be too much conflict in the room? It's going to be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it much on this program, but I was I wasn't that overwhelmed with that hire. I thought that has to be a little bit disappointing to USC fans. I mean, this should be a job that the very top names would have won, and I never heard that name D'Anton Lynn show up.
Well, he did an amazing job at UCLA. I will say UCLA's defense was really good, and even yesterday they showed it, even without him calling plays, that they still have a good defensive scheme. But it was a little funny. It was like, we have all the resources. We're making this change, nationwide search. There's this guy 20 miles away. You know what? Let's just get him. It's kind of a little funny.
I do think he was aided a little bit because there were a couple game wreckers on that defensive front. I don't know how much that really helped. I mean,
that's why I say it's got to be weird to see how this works. Does his success there this year help at USC, or is there too many head coaching experience and just butting heads about scheme, or it's going to be interesting. I mean, on paper it looks great.
Well, there's no Latu on that USC defense, that's for sure.
No, that's true too.
No. Well, I mean, there's Bear Alexander. He's a real player.
Is he coming back, or is he going to be gone?
No, he's coming back. He's a sophomore.
He's coming back.
He doesn't have the option to go to the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I think, honestly, I think Notre Dame would be a great fit. They need a new offensive coordinator, in my opinion.
And I would like
It would-
that. Fit. I would like that fit with his scheme and Leonard's skill set. I think that would be a good match.
Yeah, I was like, it would go away from what Notre Dame likes to do with running the ball, but Holgerson has been running the ball a lot more in the recent couple years. He's actually has been running the ball more. I don't know if he'd fit in at Notre Dame because Holgerson likes to drink, I've heard from personal sources a lot. I don't know if he fit in Notre Dame very well.
Oh, I don't think Notre Dame is the mighty that they used to be.
I don't know. Yeah, it's
Well, I remember, back when they used to claim themselves as kind of like an academic powerhouse, and then Tony Rice happened. So, I don't think that this is the Notre Dame of old.
no. Well, maybe it's true. Maybe with coaches too, they take a leeway or a little bit of a lesser stand. Daniel Holgerson, I could see him taking a year off though. I think he's going to take a year off.
You think he'll call games at like ESPN or CBS or
No.
Fox?
He doesn't have that kind of personality.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good fit. I don't know.
I don't see him as that kind of guy. I don't see him as having any type of media career.
If he did, it would be like halftime show. I don't think it'd be like the full time announcer. I don't think he would even want to do that. Maybe like halftime or something like that. But I don't think he'd want to sit in the booth and watch the whole game. Who knows? Maybe he would. I'm not that in tune with what Holgerson likes to do or whatever. But I think he's going to take a year off, probably. Like he's been.
I know he likes to fight security at casinos. Other than that,
maybe he can do like voice, the voice of West Virginia football or some shit.
Yeah. Mark, you listening? Dana and Joey.
Oh man, Dana, Joey, Frank Fear, and a couple other of those guys that we see on Wednesday night. That'd be pretty cool, right there.
This is a perfect intro. Quickly, Jackson, do you have a promo ready? If you don't, get it ready.
Well,
There's your promo.
There you go. Well, if you like exclusive live streams, watch parties, predictions, betting advice, and insider looks at all of college football, come on in via patreon.com/MarkRogersTV or become a YouTube member of the Voice of College Football. And with this Patreon membership or the YouTube membership, you can be a part of the best college football post-game show in all of college football after dark.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, do that, everyone. It's the links are in the description of the video below, or just hit the YouTube membership on the join button and pick your perks. And you can get that links for the Discord by just contacting Mark at his Gmail account, which is also in the description. It's that easy. Well, gentlemen, we have gone over our time limit, which we hoped to keep very quick, and then we went into like a lot of other news, which is good. I forgot about a lot of this news. The Tom Allen move, I forgot about that. So that was a good reminder.
Erica's deep fake with Rayola.
Oh yeah, that too. Hey, it's good to clear that up, though. It was good to clear that up, just in case, because that would have been sad. We literally had a moment of silence for Nebraska earlier, if that was true.
I almost feel like we should have one if he comes. I mean, this guy's been at 4 different high schools in 4 years, and he's been committed to 3 different colleges. I don't know.
The high school thing is kind of common these days because people move around for better, starting position and or better school, for
4
to get low.
4 different ones though.
Yeah, I know, but that unfortunately that's the way it is. It's like those are the people that also pay for private lessons for quarterback lessons, that pay like $10,000 for a summer of lessons, and stuff for their kid. Those are people who can do that stuff. So Is there any other final thoughts and final bowl games coming up? Because as we mentioned, or well, these guys reminded me earlier, next week is Christmas Eve, and the following Sunday is New Year's Eve. Really bad days for shows because everyone's doing stuff. So we might be here next week or the following week. I will be discussing that with Mark in offline, and we will figure that out. You'll see the notification if we are, and if we aren't, there just won't be. Or we'll do something maybe another day, talk about anything exciting and do a recording or something. We'll figure that out offline. But any other notes on any of the upcoming bowl games in the next week and a half from you guys, or any important news though? Start
Well, my
Jackson, go
question-
Mike, and then Sean quick. Yeah, that's full circle.
I was going to say that, will the 2024 Riola Quest Bowl be a repeat of the 2023 Citrus Bowl?
When is that being played?
New Year's Day.
Oh yeah, that used to be the Outback Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
was that
think so.
was that the Outback? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know that LSU routed Purdue 63-7. Now, I'm not saying we're going to see anything like that against Wisconsin this year,
You
but
might.
are we going to see them route Wisconsin, and then everybody's going to go, woo, LSU's going to win the SEC this year?
Well, LSU's going to be losing a lot of their best players.
True.
Yeah.
So,
They need to get rid of their DC.
Wisconsin's a shell themselves, so
I had no idea how this bowl got arranged. Like this is, I've been watching college football for a long time. That's one of the more curious bowl matchups I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I think even a skeletal LSU team should not have much against Wisconsin.
yeah, this is kind of this is one of those. If you did the Mark's bowl group, he said, "Oh yeah, there's a 40-pointer."
but the Fenway Bowl is going to be fun because that's going to be a future ACC conference game between SMU and Boston College. Whoever wins that game is definitely going to get a shot at revenge next year. SMU, they're pretty mad about being left out of the New Year's Six. Will that result in a dominant victory over Boston College?
They're pretty big favorites in this. Last I saw, they're like double-digit favorites in that.
Yeah, they're 11-point favorites. I think that's too small. They should be 21-point favorites.
Oh, you're crazy.
No,
I'm with Jackson on this one. I think SMU rolls this one.
No, I think
Yeah,
this is a competitive game.
Yeah, Boston College is pretty pitiful. That's the thing. I mean, they ended the regular season in such a pitiful way. I mean, especially that loss to Pittsburgh on Thursday night.
They're one of those teams you don't even realize. Like halfway through the year, they're like 5-3. Like that team, or like or if you check on the map, how did this team get bowl eligible ever? You realize they beat Holy Cross by 3, Army by 3, UConn by like 7. And somehow they script their way into a bowl game. Now, SMU should win that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Rhett Lashley's done a tremendous job. And, he led SMU to their first conference title since 1984. But for those that don't want to count the 1980s against SMU because of the NCAA allegations, well, it's their first legitimate conference title since 1966 in the Hayden Fry era at SMU. Oh, North Carolina, West Virginia. We see Timothy Green asking us about the Duke's Mayo Bowl between North Carolina and West Virginia. Well,
Drake May out here, right?
Yeah, Drake May's not playing in this game. That's going to hurt North Carolina. I think West Virginia is going to win this game, and I think you're going to see a lot of people get excited about West Virginia in the offseason next year. And I don't think we're going to be hearing any more hot seat talk on Neil Brown anytime soon. after that if they beat North Carolina. But there is a fun historical note about the last time North Carolina West Virginia played. Pat White was the quarterback at that time, playing for a shot at winning his 4th straight bowl game as a starter. And then they did, and he was the first ever quarterback to win 4 straight bowl games while starting them. So that's something to remember right there. I mean, that's an interesting note from the last time they played. And that was in the 2008 Meineke Car Care Bowl. That was on a Saturday, and that was on ESPN, I believe.
Oh yeah, the legendary Meineke Car Care Bowl.
Man, I love that game. I mean, the previous year, I believe Wake Forest played Connecticut in that in the 2007 edition.
Yeah, is that the Cure Bowl now, or
No.
Or the Buffalo
That's not-
Wild Wings Bowl. I don't know. There's new bowls every damn year.
Yeah, no, I can't keep.
Like
Like-
last year,
come on.
Jimmy Kimmel had his own bowl.
And now it's the Gronk Bowl and the LA Bowl. But like tomorrow, what was this bowl before? The famous Toastery Bowl. What was that
I
before?
don't know.
Maybe it was the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. I don't know.
wait?
I don't.
I know that
Famous
one had
Toastery
famous in it.
Bowl. I don't think so. I don't think. No, that definitely was not the.
I don't
Oh,
know.
well,
Where is this at?
that might be the Meineke Car Care Bowl. It's in Charlotte.
Yeah, that's why I was like, "Where is this?" Yeah, it's like, yeah, Charlotte.
Yeah,
Famous Toastery Bowl tomorrow night. The
probably is.
Western
That probably
Hilltoppers
was
versus Old Dominion Monarchs.
that
Oh.
probably was the replacement, the new sponsor for the Meineke.
Well, the
Car Care.
Mikey Car Care Bowl's the Duke Mayo Bowl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I can't keep
It
track of
used
some
to
of
be
that
called
shit.
the
Yeah,
Belt Bowl.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Meineke Car Care. I don't. Can you do anything more fun than dousing a coach in mayonnaise?
The edible Pop Tart,
Just
edible
motor oil?
mascot, edible mascot,
God, quit saying them 2 words.
edible mascot. Tony, tomorrow night, Old Dominion versus Western Kentucky. It could be a good one. Okay, the bowl games. It doesn't matter. You never know what's going to happen in these bowl games when these
Should be a
teams
lot,
get
should be a
together.
lot of fun too. Two pretty high paced offenses. Fast, they don't take a lot of time between snaps.
I'm surprised there's not a SpongeBob Bowl. That'd be pretty cool.
No, the next one's going to be Oregon State versus South Carolina, the OnlyFans Bowl.
I'd like to see this one from Erica, a mac and cheese bowl, like a giant bowl of mac and cheese. Could you imagine the winning coach having to take like a high dive into one? It is so good.
Oh man, how
Well,
about the Ets Bowl, the Elon Musk Ets Bowl, or the Joe Rogan Bowl? That'd be pretty cool.
The X Bowl where the losing team gets shot into space. Goodbye.
Joe Rogan Bowl where the loser has to eat deer meat.
The Fear Factor callback.
There you go. And have like both the teams like go on like the Joe Rogan experience. That'd be pretty cool right there, man. Be like, hey, Jamie, can you pull that up? Jamie.
All right, gentlemen.
Yeah,
We've done it for quite a while here. Yeah, I think we're in for a good couple weeks of bowl games. To anyone who's seeing this now, I know some people have dropped on and off. It's late. One, thank you for tuning in. Please hit that like button. But also, we will be here probably next Sunday, maybe not. And then the following Sunday, it's kind of wishy-washy as the holidays. But we'll talk offline about that and let you guys know. Or Mark will with the updates in the community section. So please always check Mark's community updates or his Twitter as he posts. Usually the day's previews. Those are all in the description of the video below. But please do hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel and all the other channels, Big 12, SEC, and all the team channels if you like college football all year round.
Oh man.
I'm excited. It's going to be a good couple weeks of bowl games coming up, I think.
Oh,
There's going to be those moments where you're like, "What the hell?" It happens every year.
What else is going on? I mean, the sports is kind of dead during this time of the year.
That's my point to when people say there are too many bowl games. I'm like, yeah, but if there wasn't a college football bowl game, everyone would be complaining.
And I mean, like it does so much for the universities, all these bowl games.
And the players. Think a lot of these players are never going to play football again. This is their final. This is my final game. I get a cool little, maybe a little trip. I get a little care package out of it. I get to play one game against another team, and and that's their deal. So I mean, why not?
Yeah, but I mean, during those games, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just not watch Rachel Ray that day?
I'm sorry if you have to not watch. I'm sorry if you have to not watch The View, Mike, or something like that. I'm sorry.
The View comes on too early.
Honestly, when I think of like The View, I always think of like Joy Behar as like an angry bird. She always looks like this.
That's what Mike looks
they're
like
all
when
like
he watches
squawking ducks, but they're just like.
Oh, trust me, I have my own opinion of Joy Behar.
But in the meantime, we show you the Monday live schedule for tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Central Time, I believe.
Yes.
The Oklahoma Sooners live on SEC football at the Voice of College Football. And then on 5 p.m. Central Time and 6 p.m. Eastern Time will be the Big Ten live show. Then at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time is the Ocho from John D'Animo. And of course, you will see Trojans Conquest from Mark Rogers himself, Tim Prangley, and Trojans Wires editor, so to speak, the editor, Matt Zimick. Matt Zimick's one of my go-tos for USC football. That he is one of my go-tos. Check it out. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna love it. And these are great shows. Whether you're a USC fan, Oklahoma fan, Big Ten fan, it doesn't matter which team you pull for. This is the insider knowledge right here. You will get some of the best knowledge in all of college football from the Voice of College Football.
And you don't want to see Tuesday lineup. Tuesday is a shit show. The amount of stuff happening on Tuesdays.
Oh yeah.
You could just watch Mark Rogers all day on Tuesday and not be able to watch it all.
Oh man.
Including the Oregon live show with me. Yay.
Or if you want to watch a playoff team, you can watch Matthew Miller on the Texas Bleeding Burnt Orange?
Yes. The Burnt Orange, yep.
Isn't the Michigan, doesn't John go have the Michigan show on Tuesday?
Yep, Tuesday nights with Tanner Wooten. That's right, Blue by 90.
Tuesday is a loaded live show day for multiple teams and conferences.
Where you see Mark Rogers and friends, including Corey Bratta at the Iowa Hawkeyes live show on the Iowa channel, Justin Adams, and On3's very own Greg Peterson on Nebraska football at the Voice College Football. This wonderful man right beside me, Ben from Exploring with Ben and Sam, and friends with Spaz and Derek, as they go over some of the best insider knowledge on Oregon football. Tuesdays are jam-packed.
I don't know about best insider knowledge. We just talk Oregon football. It's like I don't know about best insider knowledge.
No. Spaz has contacts all over. We know.
And maybe a $5 super chat. Spaz will chug a beer for you.
Shotgun.
Hopefully he's not drunk this time for the show. I'm not saying he was ever for the show, but
yeah, we'll take
Liberty, baby. There we go.
Oh,
God. Liberty, Bibbity.
It's a Fiesta Bowl, You're going to watch it.
Fiesta
People are going to watch it.
That's right.
So, again, everyone, thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you, everyone. Super chats always mean a lot to us. Hit the like button, please. Helps show a lot. Helps Mark out a lot. Next week, you'll see the notification if we're going to go live next week. Or recording, maybe. as well as on New Year's Eve, because both Sundays are Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So a little weird season. Obviously, people are traveling, family commitments, dinners, parties, etc., etc. Everyone has their own life to do. We have our stuff we have to do. We all understand.
Sure.
But we all are knowing that we're going to have a couple weeks of good bowl games coming up, especially as we get to the New Year's Six Bowls. Looking forward to those, of course, as well as all the others. So, once again, thank you everyone in the chat, but also the panelists here, as usual, for spending their night here with you and with me, right here on the Voice of College Football for the After Dark show. So, until next week, everyone, one, stay safe, enjoy the bowl games, and until further notice, you guys all have an amazing holidays. All right? Thank you very much, everyone.
Merry Christmas.